Cheers.
Cheers, my friend. Okay, hello, and welcome to another episode of Marvel Madness with Maddie and Mac. Hashtag MM with MM.
Oh.
That's what I figured out our hashtag should be.
I like
and
it.
I'm McCary, and my best friend Maddie has never watched any of the Marvel movies, and the only way I could convince her to watch them was by starting this podcast. This week we are covering the third installment in the MCU, Iron Man 2. Maddie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be back on Iron Man.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited to be podcasting, all the things. How was the past 2 weeks for you? I know something big happened.
I had my birthday.
Woo.
I'm 28. And yeah, it was really nice. Honestly, I was a little bit nervous about my birthday because of just situations. And then it turned out to be really, really nice and really, really fun. And I ended the night just so happy and content with the people who are able to show up in my life.
Taco Cat goat cheese pizza.
Yeah, baby.
That was a super fun favorite. So yeah, Maddie celebrated her birthday. She turned 28, which I think is a really good segue because I take the notes for the pod, and a couple things I want to talk about is our astrology, right? So and it's so funny because Maddie and I are totally real friends in real life.
Yes, very close friends.
Yeah, that's why we started this podcast. And I come up to Maddie on her birthday night, and I'm like, Maddie, there's a couple things I want to talk to you about, but I'm also going to talk to you about them on the podcast. And Maddie looks me dead in the eyes, and she's like, McCary, we have to continue to have real life conversations.
I mean, we do. It's so fun to talk on the podcast, but I think that that's what a lot of people struggle with. And so, keeping that in the front of our mind of, we still have to be friends outside of the podcast because that's, where we hang out the most. Yeah, we can't save everything for the pod.
Okay, so one big epiphany that I had, and not only an epiphany, I've already known it, but as we've mentioned, McCary is very into astrology. So very much before this podcast, even 2 years ago, in fact, the very first TikTok I made, I deleted it because it was embarrassing, but I made it. I have a full list of what my assignments of each Avengers astrology sign is.
Just by the gut.
Yes.
Yeah.
What it's a fun game I play with every TV and movie I watch or whatever. And I think we need to, as we go along in the MCU, I want to differentiate between the canonical astrology sign, aka the birthday in the comics or in the movies. For example, Iron Man, his birthday is May 29th, 1970. He's a Gemini. However, I always assigned him as a Capricorn. And at the time, when we discussed this, I said, I assigned somebody else a Gemini, and I couldn't remember. Lo and behold, I remembered the Hulk is the Gemini.
Which is the only, if you're playing your game of only assigning one zodiac sign to each character.
Right, which I do need to tell the rules. The rules of my own personal game that I make up for every TV show, movie, whatever I watch, is I pick 12 characters, or if there are 12 characters and there's 6 main characters, like Friends, for example, there's 6 main characters. I'll give each of them 2 zodiacs.
Oh.
Right.
Nice.
I can always play around. It's my own game.
You make the rules.
I like to give them each one zodiac sign, or if there's 6, obviously 2 zodiac signs. So if I'm playing my game of all 12 is 12.
Sorry, Dexter is being really cute.
Dude, he can be really cute. We have a special guest today.
It's Dexter.
Dexter's my cat, who Maddie compared to a whale. He's lost a lot of weight.
I compared him to Pearl.
Okay, so Hulk is Gemini because split personality.
Of course.
However, I Googled it, and apparently Bruce Banner was born December 18th, 1969, just a little bit before Iron Man, like 1 year. So that makes him a Sagittarius, which I understand because my dad is a Sagittarius and I could very much see him being the Hulk. Sometimes he's cool, sometimes he's angry.
When Bruce Banner specifically makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, Sages are a lot. So, happy birthday, Maddie.
Thanks.
Everybody send her $1 million. Okay. The second conversation we had that I wanted to talk about on the podcast was I did some deep dive thought processing on who actually is Mermaid Man and who is Barnacle Boy between me and Maddie. These are the thoughts that keep me up at night, and I have figured out that Maddie actually is Barnacle Boy and I'm Mermaid Man because I'm delusional.
Yeah, like Mermaid Man.
He gets in the front car, he's like, let's go on an adventure. And Barnacle Boy's like, we're 80 years old and in a retirement home.
Yeah. I'm definitely the logic, hey, let's come back down to earth, baby.
I'm like, Maddie, do you want to go to Mars? I know this guy with a random rocket ship. He swears it'll go into orbit. He promises. If not, we get our money back.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, McCary, let's just go watch Judge Judy. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. All right. So 2 really big things also. This is huge.
Okay.
Kevin Feige. Not Feig. The Marvel movie president. Kevin, who I kept saying Kevin Feig.
It's what's the real name?
Feige.
I like Feig better.
I mean, if I was, I don't know, like a reader, which I've been reading my whole life, I would say Feig. However,
Feige.
He's been alive his whole life, which has been longer than I am. So, Kevin Feige, okay.
How did you find that out? Like, did you listen to an interview where someone said his name? Okay.
Dewey texted me and said, McCary, as soon as we teach you how to pronounce these names, you'll be golden. And then Mariah, she thought it was Feig. But she did have a comment about John. I said Favreau. It's Favreau. Whatever. Favreau.
I'm so auditorily not good at sound differentiation. So
yeah, Karenina. Karenina. That's an inside joke I don't feel like explaining.
I could not tell the difference between what you just said.
Favreau and Favreau. Anyway, now I have one last thing before we get into the movie. I have a new little segment I want to do.
Okay.
And it's called the Superfan Shout Out.
Ooh.
Yeah. So what I want to do is at the end of every episode, like before we wrap up, I want to give one shout out to a superfan, aka somebody who has, I'm so sorry I'm pausing. Dexter's rubbing his face against our tripod and I just feel like it's going to make our video be a little shaky.
Dexter, stop it.
Dexter,
this is exactly come here. Over there.
Come here. We'll just cut this out of the audio.
Oh yeah.
Come on. Yeah, let's get out of there. Okay. Okay, cool. So, do you want out? I'm so sorry. Yeah, let's get out of there. All right, cool beans. So, cut. Back to the superfan shout out. I want to, at the end of every episode, shout out somebody who's been really following us.
Yeah, I love it.
Supporting us, and it kind of makes them, I don't know, whatever. So,
you are special to us, and we want to shout you out because it really does mean a lot to us.
Oh my gosh. I mean, as much as we love to do this all for just ourselves, it really is to, become rich and famous. No, I'm just kidding.
But just to be a part of a fandom. And so, it feels fun to call out people in our own fandom of the bigger fandom. And stuff like that.
So, my first, although I usually want to save it for the end so that low-key people have to listen all the way to get their gratification, I'm going to start this one with our super fan shout-out at the beginning. And I want to shout out, and maybe we can switch off. Like, next week you can do a super fan shout-out.
Yeah.
But this week I would like to shout out Anita Barham. She is the owner of her own real estate brokerage in Rockwall.
Love it.
And she told me that this is the first podcast she's ever listened to.
Oh my God.
She even DM'd me on Labor Day and said that she was a hater of Liv Tyler too.
That's why she's a super fan this week.
And I just think it is just amazing that we're reaching all different audiences. She's the mom of somebody who I went to college with. You know, we're reaching all different demographics, everything. And so shout out Anita, great realtor, amazing woman. Thank you for listening, Anita. And then unless you have anything else to
No, let's get into it.
All right. So we're covering Iron Man 2. And that's just it. It's not Iron Man 2 like Revenge of the...
Oh, there's no like...
No,
yeah.
just Iron Man 2. I love it. And this was directed by Jon Favreau. So he comes back. It's Return of the Fav.
Yeah, and he's like legitimately in the movie this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And okay, here's a little fun fact. Written by Justin Theroux, which you know that I really like the podcast Smartless.
Wait,
Yes. Justin Theroux.
that sounds... Who's the president of Canada? That really sounds like his name.
Okay, number one, I do not know who the president of Canada is.
I feel like I'm gonna look it up.
Go ahead. And number two, I don't think it's Justin Theroux. Have you ever watched Parks and Rec?
No.
God bless America.
Oh, Justin Trudeau. Okay, so it sounds really similar. No wonder I was like, that sounds like...
Look up Justin Theroux and see if you recognize his face while I spit out the other facts. Released May 7th, 2010, so 2 years after The Incredible Hulk. And it's starring Robert Downey Jr., Gwyneth Paltrow, Jon Favreau, Don Cheadle, Mickey Rourke, Scarlett Johansson, and Sam Rockwell. Do you recognize him?
Not at all.
Okay, he's super hot, and Justin Theroux, if you happen to listen, I think you're hot. He's super good friends with Will Arnett and Jason Bateman. And,
Oh, yeah.
And he's in Parks and Rec. He's a very, very talented writer. And Robert Downey Jr. basically got him to write the script after they did Tropic Thunder together, which I've never seen Tropic Thunder, but RDJ does full blackface.
Yeah, I have heard about that.
Which is very controversial. However, the movie has very high ratings. Very funny, I've heard.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
I haven't seen it either, but I heard the movie was like not serious, which was why it wasn't like taken as serious. I don't know.
I think it might even be literally a remake. I think it is a remake.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've only seen pictures of the movie. I've never seen the movie.
We should watch it sometime. So now I don't have too many fun facts. I've got a lot of fun facts sprinkled throughout, but not a lot before we just get into the movie notes. So
yeah.
But the biggest fun fact / thing that we need to address is what the frick happened to Terrence Howard. Not that Maddie noticed at all.
Okay, I have a really good reason for not noticing. I didn't realize he was the same character. That was the problem.
Fair. James Rhodes. Colonel James Rhodes.
Yes, I thought he was just a higher up in the military from the previous movie and did not realize that that was the same character until
he became the new Iron Man, which I have it
when he goes to
Maddie
the party.
Realized. Yeah.
And it becomes less of like a relationship with the military, and that's like when he's like, I was like, oh, is he supposed to be that other guy?
Which I'll be honest, the first time I watched these movies, like going through the first time,
Yeah.
I did not understand the significance of each character or what they held. And he could just be another military official to you.
Yeah.
Well, the background is, which I have always been interested in, because this is where I am an angry Sally. I don't know if that's a saying, but I'm an angry Sally about somebody just getting recast. I've always been that way. I'm like, do you not think I will notice because I will notice?
Okay, and there's a better way to do it. Like how they did it in New Girl. Perfect. They recasted the third roommate, and Coach left, and Winston came in, but they made it a different person. They were like, this is not technically the same person, so they recasted the quote third roommate.
Coach comes back too.
Yeah, which is fun, but there's better ways to recast someone than just like putting someone else in and just pretending like they've been here the whole time.
Okay, well, I do have a comment to make on that we'll get to, which I think is good, which I didn't notice, but I've always been angry about it. But so I was excited to do my little deep dive on this, and there's pretty much, the problem is threefold. One is that, Terrence Howard was the #1 paid actor on Iron Man #1. Yeah, he was one of the most famous actors, I guess, at the time. He actually had performed in the movie Crash with Don Cheadle, who replaced him. So he went from being the #1 most paid to, our second problem, they decreased his offer by 80% for the second movie and actually cut him out. And this was due to the third problem, which was, John says, and he's quoted on this, that they had to refilm, rework, and cut a lot of Terrence's original scenes.
From
Iron Man 1.
Oh, okay.
Which I kind of was like, okay, I don't know. There just seems to be a lot of friction. I wouldn't say bad blood.
Yeah.
I'd say almost like snotty, like...
Well, and some people just don't work well
aggressive.
together.
Yeah.
And that's like, it just is what it is.
Well, and Robert Downey Jr. had just literally gotten a 2,000% pay increase.
Yeah.
When Iron Man 2 came out.
Yeah, because the movie skyrocketed.
Exactly. So Terrence was like, well, that's why y'all aren't paying me as much, is because you can't afford it. And long story short, Terrence was like, I'm out. And so they were like, all right, Don Cheadle. And I guess, I mean, when I looked up Don Cheadle on IMDb, his filmography credits were so long, I was like, Google it yourself. I don't even have time to figure out which 2 movies Maddie could possibly know him from.
There's too many.
And so I guess he's an actor. He was like, hell yeah, I saw Iron Man 1.
That shit looks fire.
Exactly. So that is pretty much the controversy of why he was replaced.
Yeah.
And he sticks with it. You don't have to worry about another recast. Okay?
Love that. And I said this later on, but I really liked him as that character.
Yeah.
I thought he was great.
I know, which I loved. I love that, because I was just bitter for my whole life. So then
I think it helped that I didn't know.
Agree.
It was a recast. I just thought he was a new character, or like a semi-returning character.
This is the beauty of watching the Marvels, the MCU, from a newbie's eyes. Truly.
And just a dumb person's eye.
You were very much not dumb. I literally continue to put Maddie's so smart in all my notes. Okay, so Emily Blunt, do you know who that is? She is John Krasinski's wife. She's in A Quiet Place.
I feel like I've heard the name, but I'm like having trouble with the face.
Did you watch Mary Poppins Returns?
No.
Come on, with Lin-Manuel
Miranda. Isn't she married to like the guy from The Office?
John Krasinski.
Oh, okay.
Yes, she was originally supposed to be Black Widow, aka Scarlett.
Oh.
But she had conflicts, and let's just say, missed opportunity.
For real.
Because you don't know Emily Blunt.
Not from the Marvel
But you
movie.
know, I'm just saying, everybody knows Scarlett Johansson. Maybe everybody would know Emily Blunt if she was in this movie.
Yeah.
Okay, and then my last fun fact is Tony Stark's artificial intelligence program, Jarvis, stands for something.
Ooh.
Just a rather very intelligent system.
I love that.
I know, right? And
That
did you
is so
notice
cute.
it's the same voice that was from the first movie to the second movie? They consistently keep that.
Love it.
Okay, so again, Maddie, make sure you cut me off if I get too ahead of your notes. But my first note, while we're starting, it literally starts to do the Marvel credits, and we hear the dialogue from Iron Man 1, and I go, let's fucking go back into the actual Marvel movies. Fuck the Hulk. The Hulk is the worst thing we will ever cover in the entirety of
this podcast.
Literally. Horrible. And we are back into it. And I'm so happy. And so like I said, the dialogue is picking up exactly where we left off at the press conference when Tony Stark admits to being Iron Man. And then we immediately go to Moscow, Russia, and we're introduced to Anton Vanko.
I have so many notes on him.
Okay. Well, let me tell you that originally in the comics, Anton Vanko is the Crimson Dynamo. I don't know anything about the Crimson Dynamo. He is just one of Iron Man's villains in the comics. But Ivan Vanko, his son's villain, is basically a combination of the Crimson Dynamo and Whiplash, which...
Oh, sorry. Ivan is the one I have a lot of notes on.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So that comes up. So then we meet, he's calling out for Ivan Vanko, his son, who was never in the comics, completely a made-up character for the movies, is played by Mickey Rourke. Did you recognize him at all?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I didn't recognize him when I watched Iron Man 2, whenever it came out. However, okay, fun fact just about me, McCary. I've always wanted to be a famous actress. I was in theater, and I did a role for a short film one time.
Oh.
Yeah, super weird, very small, nothing that you guys will ever be able to find. But I had to watch The Wrestler, which is a movie that Mickey Rourke is in, and that's what honestly made him very, very famous. That's pretty much what I know him from, and that's what a lot of people know him from, is The Wrestler. And I had to watch that as inspiration. So just kind of cool for me. I was like, oh, Mickey Rourke, very famous film guy. And he came into popularity in the 80s about the same time as RDJ, Robert Downey Jr. So Anton is about to die. He takes a swig of vodka, which is very freaking Russian, and then he dies. And then Ivan gets to work, and that's our opening credits.
Yeah, and I said, this claw man is very dirty, because I thought when we're first, like, introduced to his hand or whatever, I thought that this guy was going to be, like, a mutant. Like, I thought he literally had claw hands.
Mutants are a thing in the MCU.
Yeah, well, I thought he was one, but no, he's just a Russian, so... And I was really hoping the bird was going to talk, but the bird did not talk.
We're going to come there. Okay. We're going to get there. So it looks like... So during the credit scenes, Ivan looks like he's copying Stark's plans, and he makes a mini arc reactor. He makes an arc reactor, and I don't know if you noticed, but he has gold teeth.
I did.
And he has the bird. And that's when you made that comment. Now, let me tell you a fun fact. Fun freaking fact.
Yeah.
Mickey Rourke paid out of pocket to have the bird and his gold teeth.
Amazing.
Because he wanted his character to have more depth. So he paid for the bird out of his own pocket.
I love that. And I really think it did a lot for him. Like, I liked that he had gold teeth, because it wasn't like a full grill or anything. It was like
just lines. A couple caps.
Yeah.
Because he was like a Russian prisoner type.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of Russian research.
And I loved the bird, because bird people are very particular types of people. So the fact that, like, he had a bird, I've done a lot of research on, like, pets that I could potentially have, and a bird is not one of them. And so, like, for me, that did give him a lot more depth, because I was like, oh, wow, has a lot of patience. Like, bird people just have to be they have qualities that I don't have.
This is so fun because I constantly find out new things about you while recording. I'm like, oh, Maddie has done a lot of research on bird people. Amazing. And Maddie did say, that cockatoo better talk. Wait, I don't know if cockatoos talk. Like, she's accessing research about the birds in her brain. And now it's all coming together. And then we get to 6 months later. So basically, Ivan made an arc reactor. Now, here comes Iron Man falling out of the sky, boom, boom, bam, lands into the Stark Expo in Flushing, New York, which is in Queens. And I have a spoiler that we'll talk about later. And I'm just notating it. And Maddie said, of course, do you have a note here?
I said Tony didn't lose his spark.
His spark? Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and he's got dancing, half-dressed iron women in the background. And my favorite thing was at the end, when the iron women, they end their dance, they all end like with the palm out, just like Iron Man does with his photon blasts. And he transforms from his Iron Man suit to a business suit, just basically idealizing every single trait of a narcissist.
100%.
Which I wrote down, which is hilarious to me. Because at the very end, he's diagnosed as a narcissist and he goes, fair.
He said agreed.
Yeah, so no, Tony is 100% a narcissist. Which also furthers my Capricorn assessment.
Yeah.
Narcissism. Okay. And then he goes, but please, it's not about me.
That was my second note.
Yeah, okay. And then...
Yeah, I was just like, Tony saying it's not about me while literally describing attributes of himself was... I was like, you're too much. Like, I literally could not...
It's, like, funny because he's kidding, but he's not kidding.
No, exactly. He's, like, walking the line of, like, saying the truth, but also just, like, hyping himself
Which
up.
I very much relate to, unfortunately. Like, it's very self-reflective, and I need to chill. Okay, so now we go to the new Howard Stark, which they show him, and this is the first recast.
I don't remember the original one.
Exactly, nobody does, because it was for 1 second.
Yeah.
But this is the Howard Stark that we will know for a while. But while this video of the perfect city is showing, we see that Tony Stark's blood toxicity tracker is at 19%.
Yeah,
Which you picked up.
I said blood toxicity. I do not remember this.
Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
Yeah, I don't remember this from the first one. So that was like, yeah.
Then we go to the... Okay, now the Stark Expo intro is over. We go to Olivia Munn, which that's the actress's name, who you recognize doing the newscast.
Yeah.
Did you know where you recognized her from?
No, but I knew I have seen her before.
Well, Olivia Munn is famous, and I have heard her name and seen her, but I have never really watched anything that she's in. But the two things that I could figure out that were the most famous was The Daily Show, where she's basically an anchor, I guess. And she's also in X-Men Apocalypse, which is a Marvel.
Adjacent,
yes. It's not in the MCU. X-Men isn't because it's owned by Universal. Fox. Yes, but that's where mutants come from. So that's Deadpool. That's that area, which we're about to enter into coming up somehow. I don't know how. We'll figure it out as we go.
All right.
I'm sure Dewey will tell me. So that's where Olivia Munn is from. And then we see Happy, and it's the kind of weird, like, first person as he's...
Oh, yeah, like going down the stairs.
Yes, which we see Happy, who's the director of the film. And I'm like, Maddie, that's Happy. And then we see... So before the... You know what? We see he goes, hi, Larry. And it's to Larry Ellison. And this guy is the founder of the software company called Oracle. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone uses Oracle.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's like a business software.
Like Salesforce?
I don't know. Maybe?
Okay.
I'm not that familiar with it.
Well, or that's the guy who's in there, and they
Gotcha.
specifically put him in there for funsies. I don't know, because I think he's like a business
Wasn't that big
tycoon.
building, that round thing? Didn't that say Oracle?
Potentially. I
Okay.
think they had a lot of things about Oracle in this movie for some reason.
Yeah.
It was.
I was gonna say something, but then I was like, I don't know if that's what it says or
Like,
not.
I wish I cared more. I just don't. There's so much. Okay, and then we go to. Wait, do you hear that?
What is that?
Oh my God, what is that? It's the Stanley. Surprise! Okay, we see Stanley in his ever usual cameo at 10 minutes and 12 seconds dressing as Larry King.
Yes, and he was just so cute, and I don't know who Larry King is.
Maddie said, I need to figure out who Larry King is. Well, he's just a talk show host from like, I think he might be dead now. He's a very old dude. I really don't know. She's currently live Googling if Larry King is dead or not.
Oh, yeah.
Is he alive?
Oh, probably not.
No,
he died in 2021.
R.I.P. There are a lot of people in the Marvel movies who are dead.
Yeah.
So Stanley is dressed as Larry King, and he's a talk show host. And then as they exit the conference, they go out to the car, and they see that hot girl, aka Kate Mara, who is the U.S. Marshal, who serves Tony Stark papers. And he's served.
Oh, yeah.
And you recognized her too, which again baffled me.
I don't know.
She's not from American Horror Story. During the movie, Maddie's like, yeah, I know her. She's from American Horror Story. I looked up every credit.
But you thought she was too. She has that face. What is she from?
I mean,
she's from a million things.
So many things because I didn't know what you've seen. So she's from Shooter. Okay. There's no recognition in Maddie's eyes. Fantastic Four remake of 2015, which is also a Marvel.
Then definitely no.
Okay. House of Cards?
Yes.
She's from House of Cards. That's one of her biggest.
Spoiler, she's the one who like dies in the first season or something.
Wow.
Dude, everybody dies in that show.
I've never seen it.
It's not even a spoiler. If you watch House of Cards, like everyone dies.
Okay. Didn't know that.
Eventually. Just depends on like.
Well, I think everybody in all human existence dies eventually, so thanks for that. She's also in Brokeback Mountain, which I've never seen, but definitely want to.
I've never seen that either.
We should watch that. We love a good gay film. Okay, so then they drive to DC in the car because Tony Stark's been subpoenaed, and when he enters the courtroom, we see Pepper. All right, welcome back, Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
And just a little fun fact, when quoted about the second movie, Gwyneth Paltrow said that most of their dialogue was improvised, which I feel like I could tell.
It did feel like not as good as the first one.
She's very whiny.
I didn't notice she just was always complaining the first one too.
I feel like that's kind of her role, is just very whiny.
Yeah.
So, but no hate on Gwyneth Paltrow, even though, did you know that she as a woman was very close to Harvey Weinstein?
Ooh, no, I did not know that.
So like, and this is just a little sidetrack, I don't know, but like, I'm sorry, I just find it weird that he kind of like sexually assaulted everybody else, but just left her alone, and they just were totally cordial. Just kind of weird to me. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so then we meet Senator Stern.
Oh my god.
Who Maddie called. What did you call him, Maddie?
That was at the end, though.
Yeah, we'll wait. But anyway, he's played by Gary Shandling, also dead.
Good.
Maddie could be a good person.
Yeah, and I'm sure he lived a good life. Everyone's gotta die. You just said that, right?
Okay. Well, there's also another spoiler that we'll talk about. Both of the spoilers so far we'll talk about in Captain America. Then he calls Iron Man a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So he's literally classifying Iron Man as a weapon, and Tony's like, no, it's a suit and it's mine, so you can fuck right off.
Yeah.
And then we introduce Justin Hammer, an expert on weapons. So let's talk about Justin Hammer a little bit. He's got 2 qualifications. One is that he's the CEO of Hammer Industries, which is also true in the comics. And he is the Department of Defense's primary systems contractor. And he's played by Sam Rockwell. Maddie, did you recognize him at all?
Yes. But
Okay.
I'm so hard for me to say where, but I did recognize him. I'm pretty sure he's played in a lot of stuff.
So what's hard for me is I don't know what movies you've seen. I know what movies I've seen, and the number 1 movie I recognize him from, 100%, Charlie's Angels. Have you ever seen Charlie's Angels?
No.
With Cameron frickin' Diaz and Drew frickin' Barrymore and Lucy frickin' Liu.
That sounds great, but I have not.
He's...
Is he Charlie?
No.
No.
No, but that's where I recognize him from. So I put 2 other movies that maybe you've seen, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
No.
Green Mile?
Yes.
He's in Green Mile.
I have seen Green Mile.
I haven't seen Green Mile.
I've watched that a weirdly large number of times.
You consistently surprise me. So now you know where he's from. Okay. And Tony fires his ass up.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Okay, I have 2 notes on Justin.
Hit me.
Well, I might need to wait on the second one. You let me know. But when he said, I wish I could leave my door unlocked, but this isn't Canada, I almost peed my pants. I have been to Canada. And I mean, everyone, like, talks about Canada.
But people love to fire Canada up, too.
But I've been to Canada, and, like, I swear those people probably leave their door unlocked. Like, it's so chill there. So that comment made me laugh. Like, I'm pretty sure I laughed out loud. And then, are you gonna talk about how he was like, Justin, you're on TV?
Oh, yes, eventually. So before that happens, first off, he calls him Anthony Stark.
I hated that. I think that's the writing where you go, we hate this guy. You know what I mean?
Justin Theroux. Screenplay, baby.
And it's so funny that I thought that you were talking about the president of Canada.
Oh my God, it's all coming together.
Full circle.
I'm going to come back with a Canada pun for that. Okay, so, but then before we get to your next comment, Lieutenant James Rhodes, who you did not know who that was.
Yeah. I thought he was from the last movie, but just a higher up military guy.
Right. And like 4 shades darker.
Well, no, I swear there was a guy that dark in the previous movie that was like on screen
No,
for
there
a
was.
second.
There was.
And
there was.
And
that's a pretty good... No, there actually was. And maybe we should have talked about him more in the last movie, but he wasn't very important.
No, and there was just a second. So, like, it's been a while since I watched that movie at this point. So I was like, oh, that must be him.
6 weeks. So, well, yeah, Terrence Howard, gone. Don Cheadle in. And here's the thing that I wanted to say. His first line, basically in the movie, is, look, it's me. I'm here. Let's move on.
I love that.
Yes, because Tony's like, what are you doing here? And it's like a double entendre. And that's
quoted
to be like, hey, we recast him, get the fuck over it.
That's pretty good.
And I love that too, because if I would have known that, I feel like I would have been a little less angry about it.
Yeah.
So Tony feels ambushed, and once again, we're reminded of Rhodey. We call him Rhodey.
Mm-hmm.
That's his nickname. Rhodey's credentials, which he's the United States Air Force Weapons Procurement Liaison. And he is forced by Stern to read his out-of-context report,
mm-hmm.
which says that he's basically a threat. However, he says, but in context, the benefits outweigh the liabilities, but it doesn't matter. And during this, Tony Stark literally cuts him off and goes, okay, well, you guys, I guess I'll consider the Secretary of Defense. Which is funny, but in the comics, that's actually what Tony Stark does.
Oh.
He becomes Secretary of Defense of the United States government.
Nice.
Pretty dope, right?
That's a fun little, like, shout out to the comics.
I know. I love that I'm learning more about the comics. I feel like I'm kind of a badass now. Come for me. Okay. Now, so here's, though, the main problem is that they're saying, Iron Man, now that you've done this, you are creating more potential for other countries, other threats to create suits like yours.
Yeah, the problem with copycats.
And this is where Tony commandeers. He's like, oh my god, look at me. I stole your screens. Your defense is so lame. Look at me. With my... And this is whenever he's like, he shows that basically every single person who's tried to create an Iron Man suit has failed, including our boy Justin Hammer.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Who's a loser. And this is where...
Oh my gosh, when he said, Justin, you're on TV, I about peed my pants. I was, like, legitimately laughing.
No, I know. The Iron Man movie, RDJ is so funny.
And then Justin, like, scrambling, like, to try to turn off the TV.
Literally, Justin and Robert's chemistry is very good. Because he's a villain, but he's not a real villain. He's just a villain who has a lot of money and could pay mercenaries.
Yes.
He's not a scary boy.
Yeah, he plays that character so well.
I kind of feel like that's what he does in Charlie's Angels, too. And I feel like he does that little dance that he does, too. Okay, so anyway, literally, Tony stands up, the narcissist he is, and says, I have successfully privatized world peace, and you guys should all be basically sucking my dick.
Yeah.
And then Stearns looks at him in the middle of a freaking publicized, recorded conference that says, fuck you, Mr. Stark.
It was so good. McCary laughed out loud at that point.
Because I forgot, you know? Does he say fuck?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is actually a huge controversy, and I'm going to put red stars right here because I'll tell you what. And I don't care that I thought it was a spoiler, but it's not actually. In the new Guardians of the Galaxy, there's an F-bomb dropped, and they said that this is the first official F-bomb dropped in the MCU. But it's not.
Iron Man 2, baby.
Iron Man 2, fuck you, Mr. Stark.
It was so funny.
By Senator Stearns. That is, no,
and
that's
it's
really
even funnier that it's from a senator.
Oh my god, he's so mad. And then as Tony's leaving, he goes, and you can always count on me to pleasure myself.
So good.
Okay, and then we cut to Ivan. Maddie, as usual, I write down everything she says out loud. She said, how does a caveman have all this shit? He's not a caveman, Maddie. This is not Iron Man 1. He's a Russian physicist.
I probably had a note for that. But, yeah. I guess it just looked... He was so dirty, and it looked like they were in a cave. And I was like, what are all these cave people doing?
That's Russia. Russia is a cave of a country.
Oh my god.
Shout out to all of our non-existent Russian listeners.
Yeah, you can come for us for that.
We should get one Russian listener, guys. Okay, but yeah, no.
He just has, yeah,
He's a Russian physicist.
Yeah, well, we find that out later.
Well, the next thing is he's got his whips.
Yeah.
And did you write down what you said out loud? I hope you didn't.
You're not talking about at the race, right?
No, but you go electric whips. That's kinky.
I didn't write that down.
Yeah, you're so sexual, Maddie. So wild. Okay, then we cut to Iron Man, and he's in his lair. He's in his lab, in the song Should I Stay or Should I Go by The Clash, which is a great song. Have you watched Stranger Things?
No. It's too scary for me.
Okay.
I literally tried to watch the first episode and I got scared and I turned it off.
Because of the, yeah.
I don't know. I turned it off.
Okay. So, but this is so funny to me. He shows that his blood toxicity is 24%. But also he's like, okay, how do I make sense of this gobbledygook? I don't know if you picked up on that.
He said something funny like that.
Gobbledygook. This is not the first time I've heard it. It is not the second time I've heard it. I heard it the other day. But
Yeah.
the original way I heard it is the language of the goblins in Harry Potter.
No way.
Yes, and I know this because I've been playing the Harry Potter Legacy game, Hogwarts Legacy.
Gobbledygook?
Gobbledygook. Gobbledygook. Which I thought was a made-up word. Which I'm confused how it...
I think it is both. I think it is a made-up word, but it has become
J.K. Rowling just stole that shit.
colloquial.
No, she used it to be the goblin language.
Which is hilarious. Because she's basically saying that it's gibberish.
Yes! And there's a guy in the game who speaks gobbledygook. I'm about 80% done with this shit, you know? Like, I'm pretty, like...
Yeah.
So I just found, like... I just wanted to shout that out for my Hogwarts. I mean, we're both Harry Potter nerds.
Yeah.
You're not a video game girl, though.
I want to be. I just don't have time.
God, Maddie, your time is so precious. I have nothing but fucking time. Okay. Iron Man's suit is accelerating his condition, per Jarvis, of the blood toxicity.
Mm-hmm.
The palladium is burning up too fast. What is keeping him alive is also killing him, and no known combination of any element known on Earth has been figured out. So we're out of fucking options.
Yeah.
And this is where Pepper gets entered in, and he exits out of all of that because he does not want her to know.
Yep.
She's dying. And she's freaking pissed because he donated his entire modern art collection to the Boy Scouts of America.
What are they going to do with modern art?
Literally make firewood? I don't know. And it's a funny callback from our Iron Man episode. Because we did a lot of deep dives on modern art. It seems like that is a big trash can that Tony can throw his money into.
Oh, modern art is a scam. I've watched plenty of videos on how the rich use modern art and just art and like art trading in general to help them with their like tax write-offs and shit.
Retweet.
Which is what he said. He was like, I needed it as a tax write-off. He literally said that in the movie.
Yeah, well, the rich people in this world are there's so much code and tax code and law to keep rich people rich that the regular middle class doesn't know about.
100.
Because we're not taught that. We're taught how to be workers.
Well, and we don't know how to be a part of it because you have to have a certain level of money to even play the game, which is higher than anyone will ever even make in their life.
To quote Hamilton the musical, and this new financial plan is too many damn pages for any man to understand.
Mic drop.
But we won't. Because it took a lot of preparation. Okay, so as Pepper's like, no, this is ours, blah, 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 and Robert's like, or Iron Man's like, no, this is my money, bitch. He basically is like, okay, quit your bitch and you're the CEO. Because he's dying.
Yeah.
So, and she's stunned, blah, 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 whatever. And then he makes a casual reference to him drinking chlorophyll.
I was shocked.
I looked online if there was any type of Nothing. I think he just ad-libbed the fuck out of that.
Isn't that the thing that people pour on a cloth and put over someone's
that
face?
is chloroform.
Oh.
Chlorophyll is what plants intake to make, to undergo photosynthesis.
How does he even get that?
Or at least I think it's what makes it green.
Yeah.
Whatever. Who knows? Chlorophyll. Then he's like, let's celebrate with, and then we have the return of Dummy.
Yes, and I have 2 notes on that actually.
Okay, hit me.
Because Dummy was messing up his smoothie when we first cut to that scene, and my first note was, I swear he just keeps dummying around for entertainment. Because he can obviously make a Jarvis, so why would he keep a dummy around and literally call it Dummy? If it's not for entertainment purposes.
Because he loves it.
And I respect it. We all love our dummies in
Proof
our
that
lives.
Tony Stark has a heart.
Yes.
Aww.
And then my second note was that when he gave them champagne, I was like, and he's a good boy.
Aww, just like Barrett.
Yeah.
Your Great Dane, who's such a good boy. So then we cut back to Russia, and Ivan gets a fake passport and tickets to the Grand Prix in Monaco? Monaco.
How did he know that Tony was going to be there?
Exposition.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you a fun fact. Boris Turganov is the fake ID on the passport, which is the second Crimson Dynamo in the comics after Anton Banco.
Oh, fun.
So just little Easter eggs, you know. And then we go back to, we're bouncing.
Yeah.
Now we're back in Stark Industries, and Stark is boxing Happy. And in the comics, Happy Hogan was a former boxer.
Oh.
So again, a fun Easter egg. And enter Scarlett Johansson, the notary from Legal. Did you know that she was a notary?
No.
That's pretty much why she was there. She's from Legal. She's the notary.
Oh, when in the movie. Yeah, because she said the notary's here. So I knew that was...
I missed that.
Oh, okay.
And she introduces herself as Natalie Rushman. And Tony Stark stops looking at Happy. And he's looking at the new candy in the room, which kind of freaking annoys Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so. And a couple things. Well, only one thing. This movie changed Scarlett Johansson's life. In 2016, she became the highest paid actress in the world. Yeah. This made her.
I didn't know that this was her up and up.
Yeah. Before this, don't get me wrong. Everybody knew Scarlett Johansson for some way or another. But this is what changed the game for her, I would say, money-wise.
Yeah, and put her into superstardom.
Yep. And so I would like to hear your opinions on Scarlett Johansson.
Well, I actually am not a super big... in my notes, she's ScarJo, which I think is a typical... I'm not a super big fan, and I told McCary, I was like, I feel the way that you do about Liv Tyler about Scarlett Johansson. Everyone thinks she's so pretty, and she's just not my cup of tea. And that's okay. And obviously she's a stunning woman. She just isn't the woman that I'm looking at when I think of a beautiful woman. And her acting, I guess, is okay, but I don't know. I just I'm not a super big fan of hers, and I think that's all I'm
not going to hate on you for that at all. And as many men that I can hear screaming while they're listening and turning off the podcast as we say this, because even Will is obsessed with ScarJo. Everyone is.
What does she have?
It's the lips. I think it's the curves. She has a round face, which I relate to. I have a round face. But I'll tell you, ScarJo doesn't do it for me either. And I don't know why. But actually, I know one hint. And my hint is that, here's the thing about me. I don't like girls or people in general that everybody likes. Because you know what? If everybody likes you, you don't need me to like you.
Yeah.
I like an underdog. I like a diamond in the rough, you know?
Yeah.
I like a little weirdy. That's just kind of my thing. Now, also, I like somebody who is so disgustingly stunning. For example,
the girl from The Factory.
Oh, Incredible Hulk callback. That, and we never heard from her again. And she's uncredited damn near.
Oh, poor thing.
But my girl, I'll say Margot Robbie. Margot Robbie to me is sensational.
Yeah, I would agree.
I would say,
and all the men. Why do I hear people calling her mid right now? I want to.
I'll tell you why.
I can't.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly why. Because she's not doing sex parts. Have you seen her in Tanya Harding?
Well, she kind of did in
Barbie,
Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, that was a long time ago. That's when everybody loved her. Now she's doing more sophisticated roles that actually challenge her acting. I'm telling you, watch I, Tonya.
I want to.
It's the movie about her being Tanya Harding where she plays white trash with a butch haircut. And it also has freaking Sebastian Stan or whatever who's in the Marvel movies. So, oh my God, I love that. But we're really tangenting. It's fine. But Margot Robbie just does it for me. And I especially like her because she she's not afraid to be ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Where is a movie that Scarlett Johansson is ugly?
The marriage one.
I haven't seen that, but I doubt that she's ugly.
She just has a weird haircut. And I appreciate that. I appreciate taking like a weird role. And she does some like weird crying
No,
scenes.
and I believe that. And maybe
And again, maybe I just didn't really like her acting like in this movie particularly.
Well, she's truly a sex object. This is 2010.
And that's probably also why I didn't like it. Like, that's just not something that's for me.
And as Scarlett Johansson comments, which I think that we will... I don't have a problem with her like I do Liv Tyler.
Oh.
I really don't. I'm okay with Scarlett Jo, but will I be like, oh my god, I have a girl crush on Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah.
No, that's really not... When guys say it, I'm like, okay, that's fine, like, I get it. But
yeah.
I'm not going to... Like, when we're talking about Margot Robbie or... Megan Fox even. Megan Fox is so above the fray. Like, she's too hot for life, I feel like. Scarlett Johansson is right there in our regular world. Like,
yeah.
she's hot, but she's just regular hot girl, like, normal.
Yeah.
Which I like. Anyway.
Again, we're not hating on Scarlett Johansson. She's just not, like, we're not fangirling over her. And I think that's the point.
And a lot of people, men in particular, are obsessed. Kind of like how we will fangirl over Chris Hemsworth. There will be a man who's like, Chris Hemsworth ain't that hot. I don't really like him that much.
Oh my god, and then you find out like how good he is as like a husband and just like a person, and you're like in love with him even more. Did you hear about...
I stopped researching at the Australian accent.
Oh, so his wife has like a gene where she could potentially have Alzheimer's or something. So like for a date night, I don't know if it was like an anniversary or a date night, but they basically went on a date and he like surprised her by like dressing up old and was like, if you ever get Alzheimer's and like only remember the early memories, you'll recognize me because like I'm dressed as an old... It was literally the cutest thing, and I was crying when I read about this. Chris Hemsworth, you guys.
Thor's next, you guys. We're
obviously excited. Okay, back to Iron Man.
So, not Scarlett Johansson. Let's get back to Natalie Rushman, which is what we know her as. And he's looking her up. Fluent in Russian, Latin, French, Italian. AKA, which you already know later, she's a spy for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
One of her things is she's a polyglot, which means that she has perfect accents and is fluent in every language, pretty much. Which I didn't know that word.
I didn't know it either.
Fun fact, polyglot. And then they show the lingerie pic, and this just goes to show 2010. Because as she progresses in the films, she becomes way more serious as a character and way less sexualized.
Mm-hmm.
Like 100% less sexualized.
I'll probably like her more then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
she's amazing. Okay, so then Happy is going to... Oh my gosh, I did it again. Okay. Happy is like, well, Robert Downey Jr. is like, oh, have you ever wrestled? And she's like, yes. Which, first off, weird question to ask. If you ask the notary, has she ever wrestled? I would think that answer wouldn't be yes. I know, yeah. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Why are you picking your scabs?
Dude, I'm just a freaking psychopath.
What is it called when you have like a...
Dermatillomania.
Oh, wow. Look at you. Already knowing the word.
Yeah, I've looked it up. Okay. Back on. Okay. So, not only is it weird to ask a notary if she's able to box, but then this bitch takes Happy's ass down to the ground.
Dude, that was really funny. And Happy's like, oh, I tripped.
Oh, yeah. And Pepper is jealous, and literally Tony looks at her and goes, I want one. Because they're not together yet.
Mm-hmm. And I hated when he said that. She's not a one. She's a person.
It's a sexual objectification, which is 2010.
And it's Tony.
But this isn't pre-cave Tony. He has no more excuses. I guess it's dying Tony.
Oh, yeah. You live a narcissist, die a narcissist. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, use people as objects. Okay, so now we're off to Monaco.
Mm-hmm.
And first cameo.
Oh, yeah. I was like, how did Elon Musk get in this movie?
I literally had to go, Maddie, do you recognize that guy? Do you recognize him? Do you recognize him?
It took me like a good 3 seconds to like be like, Oh my God.
I've
That's
watched the
Elon Musk.
movie like 8 times and I never knew that was Elon Musk.
Well, he's like young there too.
I also just
Don't care.
don't pay attention to what people look like at all, unless they're in movies or I'm just a basic consumer.
We're not the demographic who's going to be excited about an Elon Musk cameo, personally.
Yeah, straight up. But they put him in there because he was used as an inspiration for Tony Stark.
Oh.
And then we see Justin Hammer, and he goes, Anthony.
Tony Stark has way more riz than Elon Musk.
All I think about when I hear Elon Musk is in the Rick and Morty episode where they go to an alternate universe and he's Elon Tusk. And he's got walrus tusks. He's like, why didn't you go to Elon Musk? He's like, because it's not as cool as you.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, he goes, Anthony, to Justin Hammer goes, Anthony, is that you? Which again, Anthony, and he's with the reporter from from Iron Man 1.
Yep.
Super, super duper fun fact. Justin Hammer, aka Sam Rockwell, and Leslie Bibb, aka Christine Everhart, have been dating in real life since 2008.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Even though she totally blows him off for
in the movie.
Yeah. And Pepper makes a total diss. Oh yeah, she did quite the spread on
That
Tony.
was so good.
Did you catch that she went up to Pepper and goes, "Oh, my editors will not forgive me if you don't give me a quote for Most Powerful Woman of the Year."
Oh, I did miss that.
Just coming crawling back. And then apparently Justin's contract with the Department of Defense was canceled, and he's planning on presenting something at the Stark Expo, but Tony's distracted because he finds out that his toxicity of his blood is at 53%, and Maddie said, bro, homeboy's about to die.
Yeah. And he legitimately almost died.
And, of course, Maddie, being super smart, is already calling, and she goes, oh, and the bad guy's coming to show up? This is going to be bad. So, pretty much calling the whole plot. But Justin Hammer insists that him and Tony Stark are not competitors, as Tony is literally getting into his race car to race at the Grand Prix.
Yeah, because he looked at himself and was like, do you have any other bad ideas? And he did. He was like, I'm going to drive.
Suicidal AF. And I'll just tell you, I don't know if you noticed, he got in the blue car. He was supposed to be in a red car, but Robert Downey Jr. insisted on being in this blue car. He loved it so much. And then Maddie was like, why do they have no grip on their tires? And I was like, well, that's because they are not supposed to have grip because they need to go fast. And then I just thought to myself, man, we don't know shit about racing.
We do not.
We're just two girls talking about things that we don't know because we're not gay. If you don't know the Vine, okay, whatever. But as they're getting into the race, Ivan just walks out onto the track in his Iron Man whip suit.
Again, how does he know that Tony is going to be driving? Like, this man just be knowing things.
Yeah, maybe it was known that Tony was going to be driving.
Everyone else seemed pretty surprised.
Honestly, if Pepper didn't know, how did fucking Ivan Vanko know?
Yeah,
in
that
Russia?
was something that I was curious about.
Well, we find out, and then Happy is like, oh, he's got the Iron Man suitcase, and him and Pepper bust through the racetrack and start driving opposite of the race.
I almost threw up from anxiety.
Yeah, that is so not, I can't.
Oh, when they go around the bend, I can't believe they made it to where they wanted to go.
It's a movie. So, then Tony Stark crashes because Ivan whips him. And I just love that Ivan has a toothpick in his mouth the entire time.
Ivan is terrifying and also like really fucking cool.
Yeah,
even though he's
hot.
killing everyone, I felt so conflicted because I loved his character, but I was also
and his bird.
terrified
My
of
bird.
him. He wants his bird.
My bird. Yeah, no, the toothpick, I mean, just
So
exuding,
badass.
oozing confidence.
Yeah.
And then Tony Stark just starts trying to fight him without the suit, which is hilarious because Robert Downey Jr. is like 5'8" or something.
And I said, that's the superhero mindset.
Yep, and he whips him, and then Happy just drives right into Ivan, which does not kill him, which is surprising. And fun fact, 2 real Rolls Royces were constructed and destroyed for the film, costing a total of $5 million. Just for the 2 cars.
You know, they could have just done like a fake one. Like a fake Rolls Royce.
Yeah, like made a fake car with, and like put a fake Rolls Royce on top.
Yeah,
like
that didn't cost $5 million.
This is why I don't understand why you have world hunger or like poverty.
It's pretty infuriating, to be honest. That $5 million was
wasted
on junking.
One day we'll start a podcast about how Maddie and McCary will fix the world.
And it'll be called Mad at the World.
Yeah.
TM.
TM. Okay. So then I love whenever they bust into Ivan, Tony looks up at me, he's like, "You're the CEO, we need better security." But I said Mickey, but Ivan's still alive, so they keep hitting him, and then Iron Man suits up from the suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
But Ivan's still low-key whooping that ass.
Yeah.
Like, for a hot minute.
Ivan is killing it.
Until Iron Man figures out that it's really not hurting him, so he just wraps up in that shit.
Yeah, that was pretty dope.
Wraps all the way up, pulls out his core. And then as Ivan's getting taken into police custody, he keeps laughing and screaming, "You lose! You lose!"
Yeah,
which was weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's because...
Is it like a comic thing?
Well, it's ultimately... Ivan's main purpose was just to show that Iron Man is not invincible.
Mm-hmm.
That's his whole thing.
Yeah. And he doesn't care how many people he kills on that road because he has already killed a lot of people.
That's what makes a villain, is they're ready to achieve their goal.
Singular mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So difference between hero mindset and villain mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Machiavellian, the ends justify the means for villains. And so that's a pretty thin line to border from a hero to a villain.
Yeah.
Oh, so many themes. Okay. So then we go to the prison, and Tony Stark is speaking fluent French. So fucking hot.
Yeah.
Like, okay, polyglot.
So good.
And he visits him in the holding cell, and Ivan says that this was all his plan, to show the world that he was not invincible. And then as he's leaving, Ivan goes, "Pretty bad way to die, palladium in the chest, huh?"
I know. I was like shocked that he knew that.
Because he's a physicist.
And he just knows everything.
Well, and it comes out later, but in a weird way, and I just think it's good to talk about. His dad was in cahoots with Howard Stark.
Mm-hmm.
So he's known he's known about the arc reactor. Not that, and I guess, yeah, he followed Tony Stark's, come up with ever since he was in the cave.
Yeah.
So I guess as a physicist, he was like, well, if I was stuck in a cave, what would I put in my chest to keep me alive? And maybe, but he's like, put the palladium poisoning.
Yeah.
So after this, they fly home.
Mm-hmm.
And Pepper and Tony are on the plane, and Tony brings her an omelet.
Yeah.
Did you catch that connection?
I don't understand the omelet, but I thought it was funny when he
because
said he was gone for
omelet.
3 hours.
Well, he made her an omelet. Yeah, she was gone for 3 hours, and he made her an omelet because he was getting ready to tell her that he was dying. And that's why later in the movie, he's like, well, I was going to make you an omelet.
Oh, I didn't get that.
That's
a good one.
That's why it was extra funny, but we'll talk about it because I have the note. But yeah, so he made her an omelet, and he was planning on telling her that he's dying, but he doesn't. And then Pepper asks, what aren't you telling me?
Mm-hmm.
And Tony's like, let's just not go home.
Why doesn't he tell her in that moment?
I can't really remember the exact reason. Maybe because Pepper brought something up that he didn't like. Something that distracted him. I can't remember exactly, but I know that he's like, let's just skip my birthday party. And this is the first mention of his birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no, we've already planned everything. Okay, then we're back at Ivan in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we go from the plane to Ivan in jail, and he gets the meal from the guard.
Oh, this prison sequence was like so good. I liked it.
Yeah, it's like Prison Break in 90 seconds.
It was great.
Have you watched Prison Break?
Uh-uh.
Oh my god. One of the best shows ever. He has the full tattoo of the
Sick.
prison layout architecturally, because he's an architect, and he like designed the prison, and he has it tattooed on his back, hidden in a tattoo. It's amazing. It's an amazing show, but it really went off. So there's a note that says, enjoy the potatoes. He picks up the potato.
Which looked like dried Play-Doh. Did you know?
It looks like it was wrapped in crepe paper.
I was like, that doesn't even look like a potato.
Yeah. No, not at all. I mean, prison food, you know?
Fair.
So it's a bomb, but it's not set yet. Then the guard unlocks the cell, puts a lookalike in, and they have the same...
Yeah, and that guy was huge.
He was the same as Ivan Vanko. Like, they're supposed to be lookalikes. They're both huge.
Okay, it felt like he was bigger. And then
Ivan was sitting down.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Because Ivan still took that hoe down.
I just felt bad for that guy. He was just looking at him. Like, he didn't know what he was...
His facial expressions were a little confusing.
They probably promised him a lot of money. And then Ivan immediately snaps his neck, kills him, and then guard drops off a key. Ivan puts the bomb on, escapes, and then there's a bag over his head, and voila. He enters Justin Hammer in front of a freaking private jet with salmon carpaccio.
We're not rich enough to know what that means.
I know beef carpaccio, but salmon? That's like raw salmon, pretty
Ew.
much. Yeah.
Oh, I think you can eat raw salmon.
Yeah, I mean, I love salmon sushi.
But I don't like raw things.
But carpaccio, I don't know, maybe we're just not rich enough.
Yeah.
So Justin's like, it was me, and I want to destroy Tony Stark's legacy. I want to basically, I don't know. Then Ivan Vanko speaks Russian to him, and he goes, I want my board. That's my favorite part. I want my board.
And it makes it even better that, like, he was like he probably felt that way. He was like, I want my fucking bird.
That I paid for out of my own pocket. And Justin's like, I don't speak Russian, but are you saying bird? Okay, and now we're back.
Oh, wait, my comment was just that Hammer is so fucking dumb for, like, bringing Ivan. As if Ivan isn't gonna fuck him over at some point in this whole situation. Anytime people, like, link up with the villain, I do not understand what is going through their head.
I think Justin's planning on betraying him first.
Yeah.
Sleazy capitalist motherfucker.
You
think he's taking advantage of the Russian idiot, but lo and behold, the Russian idiot's actually gonna take one step up on you. Biatch. Okay. So, next, Natalie and Pepper damage controlling Tony Stark's birthday. We just go to Tony Stark's birthday and he's in the suit and he's drunk as fuck.
Bro is getting lit and it's so funny.
Oh my god, it's so good. And Natalie and Pepper are trying to damage control, but, you know, I don't know why I have Anton Vanko as a physicist next, because I don't feel like that was told. But I just, you know,
but yeah, we don't learn that until later, obviously.
Yeah, we learned that after, I thought. But basically, Anton Vanko was a physicist and went to the U.S., but then was deported after espionage allegations. So basically being a spy. And then Ivan and his son was convicted of selling plutonium to Pakistan. So whatever the fuck that means. So now Tony's still having his birthday. Come in, Rhodey, to warn Tony Stark that the government is coming to steal his suits.
And this is when I was like, wait, is that the...
Oh, we're not at the birthday party yet.
We're not?
No. I don't know why I said damage controlling. Maybe they're damage controlling.
I thought that was the birthday party. Though.
No, because the birthday party is a little bit later. Because we still have a couple more things.
Okay, so do we want to cut this out?
Yeah.
Okay, so go back to right before the
So
birthday party.
he speaks Russian. He wants his board.
He wants his bird.
He wants his board. And then Natalie and Pepper damage controlling. Don't know what they're damage controlling. But we find out that, well, I guess while Justin is interrogating Ivan after he asked for his bird, then we figure out that Anton Vanko was a physicist, went to the U.S., but then was deported after espionage allegations, something to kind of also do with Howard Stark. And then Ivan, his son, was convicted of selling plutonium to Pakistan. So while we're figuring that out, Rhodes tells Tony Stark that the government wants his suits. And he's like, you cannot have my suits, and I don't care, because he's dying. His toxicity is at 89%. And this is where I believe that... No, this is not it yet. But we figure out that Justin Hammer's headquarters is in Queens. And, because it tells you the location. And this is where he starts seeing the new drones that Justin has built. And Ivan immediately hacks the system and says, your software is shit.
So good.
Because Justin's just like, and he goes, wow, you really blasted in past that firewall.
Fucking dummy.
And the Iron Man suits that he has are horrible, and they were 125 mil a pop.
Bro, so dumb that he was like, oh, I just got a little carried away and spent like $1 billion? How do you just get a little carried away on prototypes and spend $1 billion?
Because that's 10. 10 times 1 million is...
No,
is that 10 million?
They were 125.7 million.
So 100 million is a billion. Times 10 is a billion.
Yeah.
Plus 25 times 10, which is like...
It was 1.257 billion. Wait. No.
1.25.
12 billion.
No, 125 million.
Yes.
Oh.
But times 10, 12.5
You're the mathematician, bitch.
billion. That literally, how do you... I don't... It's just making me...
I don't even know how to count to 1 billion, okay? I really don't. So, I just don't see me ever making that much. If I ever do, I'll be like, oh, what do I do?
You know what you could do? Solve world hunger.
I probably would and could. Honestly. Honestly. Yeah. Elon Musk could too.
I heard it would cost $5 billion to solve world hunger.
Yeah, and I heard Elon Musk gave $5 billion to the government and they still didn't figure it out.
Well, then it probably doesn't cost $5 billion.
Well, because Elon Musk is subject to the same fault that we all are, selfishness. If you really cared, then don't use the $5 billion on your fucking self.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, Elon Tusk. So... And he's like, what? Justin's like, can you make them so that we can operate them? He's like, well, what do you want them to do? He's like, I want to take a shit in Tony's front yard. Take a dump. And he's like, okay, whatever. But that's not his plan. No. He's going to make drones. So then we go to before Tony's birthday. And this is where Natalie's in the room taking care of him. So weird. Lots of sexual attention, unneeded, unwarranted.
Gross. My note was that I literally hate this part so much. I hate that she's flirting with Tony. It just makes my tummy hurt.
I know. Why did she say, is that dirty enough for you? Ugh. Was she talking about a martini?
Yeah.
She made him a martini?
And then he didn't even want the martini. He asked for like a darker liquor. I don't remember what it was, but...
Yeah, and then she starts doctoring him up but I love that Tony Stark is like, I can't get a read on you. Like, what is it that, because he's like, do you want to fuck? Because I don't know. And then he goes, where are you from? She's like, legal. And then Tony Stark is dying, so he thinks it's his last birthday ever, and he's like, what would you do if you knew it was your last birthday? And she's like, I do whatever I want.
With whoever I want.
So I'm like, ScarJo, do you want to fuck Iron Man? Because that's what it's insinuating.
100%.
But I think Iron Man took that as, I don't know why he didn't, because any other man would. Any other man would have taken her down on his bed in the bedroom.
I think he was just too sad that he wasn't even thinking about that.
Like, okay, superhero. What man is too sad where their dick can't get hard?
I don't know.
Not one I've encountered, ever.
I'm pretty sure sadness sometimes makes it harder.
Agreed. Fucking men. Okay. But apparently not Iron Man. Whatever. The Iron Man? Okay. Anyway, moving on. Now we're at, he's DJing the party, California Lovin' by Tupac, or California Love, Tupac. And this is DJ AM. Was DJing the party. Died after this movie.
That's so sad.
I know it. He was not old. This was his last ever,
like, film.
Yeah, anything after. So the film is actually dedicated to him, DJ AM. And
the whole Iron Man 2 movie.
And Tony Stark says that his number one question is, how does he go to the bathroom in the suit? And that's how.
Oh my gosh. I was laughing so hard. The dancing, the peeing in the suit. And then he talks to Pepper about it. He's like, it's fine. I have a system.
Yeah, so he does have a, it makes sense. And
of course, he flew across the fucking Atlantic. That was a question I had earlier.
I was thinking about this though. Maddie, he probably took a plane and just brought his Iron Man suit.
You're probably right.
Yep. I'm glad that we talked about this because I thought about it. I was like, because that's the Dubai thing, remember?
Mm-hmm. And he went to his house.
Yep.
That makes so much more sense.
Yep. But now we know.
He could have taken this.
Okay. So then, at this point, 55 minutes and 10 seconds, when frickin' Rhodey comes in, ready to stop this party, Maddie finally realized that he was recast as Don Cheadle.
And I was like... And the reason I knew at this point was because he went to his birthday party. Up until this time, all of their interactions had been military focused. So it made sense where I was like, oh, this is just the higher up guy. Like, that other guy just isn't in the movie. They took his character out. Because that also happens. And this, I realized...
That would have been better. I would have liked that better, honestly. But they had to be true to the comics.
Yeah. And so, it's funny because that's when I was like, oh shit, this is the guy. And then I looked at him. What did I say to you?
You go, oh my God, is this the same guy? And I was like, what? You go, oh my God, is this a different actor? And I was like, wow, everybody, it took 55 minutes for Maddie to realize that Rhodey has been recast.
Okay, I also, didn't remember the name. So, if they kept saying the name...
it's not like we did a whole podcast about it or anything.
I'm obviously bad at this, so I don't know what to say. But anyway, I finally figured it out, so...
Well, then they just basically start blasting each other's living room. They just start blasting each other, and Don Cheadle, a.k.a. Rhodey, just goes down to the basement and takes his motherfucking suit.
Oh, yeah.
Just jacks him. And he breaks up the party. And Tony says, hey, yo, DJ, give me a fat beat to beat my buddy's ass to.
So good.
And the fat beat is Another One Bites the Dust. We should add a little dun, dun, dun. Another one bites the dust.
Is that copyrighted, though?
I don't know. We could probably find it on YouTube.
We could try.
Just that one little part. Okay. And they bust through his home sauna. There's a part before they all start busting around where Pepper Potts is yelling at Natalie. And she's like, ever since you've been here, everything's been weird. I'm on to you.
Yeah.
But then she gets cut off.
I saw that, and I thought that she was going to be a bad guy. But
let me tell you, there's a deleted scene that I saw.
Oh.
And Robert Downey Jr., I don't know, I just switched. Tony Stark gives her the palm. Natalie, Scarlett Johansson, gives her the Iron Man palm. And he's behind her, and she's doing the
sexy.
palm, and he's, behind her,
Yeah.
Titanic style. And she's, doing the thing. He's just, yeah.
I hate that.
Super horrible.
I'm glad they took that out.
Yep, they did. And then the crowd is basically just here watching these two Iron Men fight until finally they get out. I'm guessing after one of them picked up the granite slab to smack Iron Man.
Do you know how heavy those stones are? Bro, we got granite put in the house. a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago,
Yes.
I don't know. We have this little, it's maybe 2 feet tall, 1 foot wide. So not very big. I'm pretty sure it weighs 60 pounds. It is so heavy. And it's only like 2 inches thick.
I guess the Iron Man suit makes you stronger.
Yeah. Well, I'm just imagining how heavy that is.
Well, yeah, he smacked his bitch ass into the fire. And then this is where Tony, the one and only time pretty much, he's like, you want to be the War Machine? Take your shot. Which the War Machine is.
The name.
Yeah, the name of Iron Man's co-buddy.
Sidekick.
Yeah, sidekick. And then they basically photon blast the shit out of his house.
Yep.
And Maddie was like, open up another multiverse, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rhodey just leaves and jacks Tony's suit. Bad friend.
Honestly, we come back to it later, but he couldn't get the suit if Tony didn't want him to get the suit.
Yep. 100%.
So
Because Tony's dying.
Yes, he took the suit, but also he's not being a bad friend because Tony's being really destructive. So he was like,
very Capricorn.
although I didn't like
Very
that he like
Capricorn.
took it back to the government, but again, he is the government, so yeah.
And then our next scene is Tony Stark inside the donut. Randy's Donuts, which is a very popular California location that they did not have to pay a lot for because it's not a franchise. And enter motherfucking Nick Fury.
Yes, we love him.
Yes. So this is very S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, very much like folding in the mega universe of the MCU. Like, a lot is introduced in this film.
Mm.
Nick Fury's there. And Tony's like, why are you here? I don't want to join your super secret boy band. Which is funny. But then enter Black Widow. And we meet. And he looks at her and goes, well, you're fired. Because she is a S.H.I.E.L.D. shadow. And her real name is Natasha Romanoff. Which, I don't know if this is a spoiler. I don't think it is. But we eventually get an entire Black Widow movie.
I know that.
Of course. I mean, you know about movies that come out in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And especially that one was controversial.
I didn't know that it was a whole movie, but I did know that she like ends up being like the Black Widow.
Right. Which I don't even know if it's really ever explicitly stated like that.
Other than like the movie title.
Other than that one,
Yeah.
Which, because I never knew she was the Black Widow. The whole couple times watching it, people would just call her that. And I was like, she's never called that.
Is it in the comics?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we do eventually get an entire... So, she's the Black Widow. But they just throw her into this Iron Man 2. And this is how we get...
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Marvel works, you know? You just get introduced to this character and you don't know how important they're going to be, and then they end up being super important and fun and cool, which is kind of why it's awesome. So, Natasha Romanoff, they figure out that she's a S.H.I.E.L.D. shadow, and then Nick Fury and him are basically like, we know that you're suicidal, and we know that you're giving up all your stuff. Your behavior is completely erratic. But guess what? You're not our only freaking problem. In fact, we have problems way bigger in the Southwest region.
Yeah, and you were like, did you notice? And I was like, no.
Yeah, that kind of gets brought up a couple times. But then ScarJo just stabs him in the neck with some lithium dioxide, which is not a cure, but it just gets rid of the symptoms. And Nick Fury says, guess what? You haven't tried all the elements. Basically insinuating that he has to create his own.
Well, I thought it was going to be from another universe, but I was wrong.
Universe or just another planet or like
Yeah.
outside in space. But yeah, no, Tony
Just creates his own because he's a badass.
Okay, so after Nick Fury tells him that, we cut to Justin Hammer bringing Ivan a bird, but it's not his real bird, but he doesn't care because he's figuring out that Ivan's not making Iron Man suits, he's making drones. And he's like, drones better.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was really funny, you know, he's like, just because this isn't your bird, like you don't need to get it too attached to things.
Uh-huh.
And then Ivan, who he thinks is just this dumb idiot, immediately comes back and he's like, oh, you want Iron Man suits? These are drones. Don't get too attached to things.
And I feel like this is almost a commentary on, obviously, like, he's like, this guy's been to prison, like, this guy's lowly. but also just like the accent. Like when people don't like understand someone super well, they for whatever reason immediately think that their intelligence is like lower. And so that was something that I was thinking about.
Which is hilarious because it's so not true.
I know.
I mean, sometimes whenever you speak with somebody with a language barrier, and it almost highlights their level of intelligence on how well they can communicate with such little words.
I'm always like, wow, they're so much smarter than me because I don't know another language.
Exactly. So, then under military orders, Justin Hammer has to get the Iron Man suit that Rhodey stole from Tony Stark. And that's just basically what happens is that Justin Hammer tells him that. He's like, hey, just so you know, like, I would care about this, but luckily I just got word that I'm going to get way better tech.
Yeah.
And then we switch to back to Nick Fury and Tony Stark talking, and they're like, basically, you're not really allowed to go anywhere right now. And he tells him, he's like, I've known your dad, and your dad was on the way to release something to make the arc reactor look like child's play. Said that his dad said that Tony Stark was the only person with the means and knowledge to finish what his dad started. And yes, Howard Stark said that, because then we do a deep dive into Tony's daddy issues. He's got major daddy issues.
Yeah.
And Howard was actually one of the founding members of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, that was a fun, like, new fact.
Oh, we have a lot to get into soon. And then the cringiest part of the whole movie when Nick is leaving and says, I got my eye on you.
He does it so intentionally, and Tony Stark just standing there and not commenting back.
Just looking at him like, what can I know so many things are going through his mind. So many puns, so many smart aleck retorts that he's like, I don't think
he had the energy.
Sorry. Okay.
I don't think he had the energy to like have any of those comebacks come to fruition. But yeah, it was really good.
Well, then we enter Phil Coulson back from the first movie.
Yep.
And he didn't show up in Incredible Hulk, surprise. But he's basically his babysitter. I saw suit. Babysitter. And then we switch back to Justin Hammer. And he's at the Air Force. And this is the funny part where he's trading all the weapons.
Oh, I loved it.
I love it so much because it just shows Sam Rockwell's acting skills and how funny he is. And he's like, oh, I can tell this isn't disco enough for you.
It's
like,
so good.
I'm going to start using that. Like, oh, that's so disco. You know, I'm going to bring it back.
Oh my gosh, McGarry.
I am. And I'll be like, oh, not disco enough. Get it out of here.
And it was so funny when he was like, size does matter, you guys. And he would just like go bigger and bigger on the guns. He's talking about size does matter.
No, you're completely right. I know, but he makes a lot of literary references, and I have no idea why. But I said he ends on the ex-wife, in all caps, not the Uncle Gazpacho. I don't know what I meant by that. But I do love gazpacho. It's a cold soup.
Ew, cold
It's very
soup?
good. It's very good. And then I put, he's so hot to me. I just think he's hot. I love him.
Oh, interesting.
I've always had a crush on him ever since he was the villain in Charlie's Angels. Oh,
Because
it was a plot twist.
He's a fun villain to watch. Like, he's very enjoyable.
And I like the blonde boys.
You do.
I don't know why. It's so weird. Okay, so then we, once again, cut to Tony Stark back on his freaking balcony, in his lab, going through the Howard Stark suitcase. Under the Dallas record. That doesn't sound right. But, okay. Is a copy of... I don't know. But he watches the old films.
Oh, wait, but we didn't talk about him driving back the... Oh, wait, never mind. We're not to that part yet.
No, we're not to that part yet.
Yeah.
He watches the old films, and in the journals, he's, like, reading his old dad's journals, which there is a fun sketch that we'll talk about when we get to Captain America. Lots of Captain America fun stuff. And then Tony is in the background of one of the films. And then at the end, Howard Stark does this little secret, message to Tony Stark and says that this city was built for him. And that the city scheme is basically the answer to his problems. And he finally showed him that he loved him. Mm-hmm. And that's when Tony Stark visits Pepper at work. And
I had a comment. I said, Tony has big daddy issues, but fast car will fix it. Because he went really fast.
And his Audi. Yeah. Of course. Fast cars fix all daddy issues.
Yep.
You would know. God, we can't repeat. Zinger! Okay. So we find out, this is the first time we find out that Pepper Potts' freaking real name is Virginia.
Oh yeah, you were shocked.
Which I found out in my research during the first episode, but I thought it was a lie. Because I was like, nobody ever calls her Virginia Pepper Potts. But then it says it in this movie, and he brings her freaking strawberries.
I knew there was a correlation here.
Well, and then Tony Stark looks really dirty, which we
why
read
does
about.
He look so dirty?
And there's the amazing thing on her desk.
Oh yeah,
the weird Ferris wheel.
I want a moving sculpture was my note.
Yeah, no, that's kind of dope. Like I think it would entertain me a lot.
Yeah.
And Pepper's just pissed about so many things that Tony's pissed about, and she's like, and by the way, do you know there's only one thing on this earth that I'm allergic to, and it's freaking strawberries. And Pepper's just here for none of his shit. And then Scarlett Johansson comes in. She's her new assistant. And then Happy is like, are you ready to go? And he's like, oh, I lost both the kids in the divorce. Yes, you did.
That was pretty funny.
And then Natalie says something to him in Latin. I don't remember the exact context of how they got to talking. But, he was like, does she know? Mm-hmm. And basically...
Oh, yeah, and he was like, do you even speak Latin? And she was like, she
says something in Latin. I looked it up. It says appearances can be deceiving.
Oh.
Yep. And then Maddie immediately knew that this city was the key because you're so smart. She's like, I'm so... Like, does he not realize that the city is the key? The city model's the key? And that's whenever the scene of him driving
with his Audi R8. And again, let's make a note. I think him being dirty was the fact that he was driving with the top down in California.
Okay.
Maybe like
smog
or something.
Yeah, the smog just got his ass.
But I laughed really hard when I saw that giant schematic in the passenger seat of the Audi.
Oh my god, amazing. Literally amazing. And so I have a note that just says I love a casual Tony in a polo.
Oh yeah.
And then we basically figure out that and I love the way that they show Tony figuring it out. He's like, look, and I wrote it down. Lose the footpaths, lose the landscaping, shrubbery, trees, parking lots, exits and entrances. Structure protons and neutrons using pavilions as the framework. And then he explodes his hands. And Maddie goes, jazz hands.
That's all I could think about.
And he creates a new element.
Impressive.
Vibranium.
Vibranium,
which is impossible to synthesize. Well, fuck you, impossible.
I know, he did it in like 5 minutes.
Because he just starts busting down his lab with a jackhammer, a sledgehammer, and he's back in hardware mode. And fun fact, Maddie's husband decided to join us during this part. So I just had a fun fact from Michael that he said the lack of dust is disturbing. And I said, fuck you, Michael. Maybe he has dust vents that suck up the dust.
He is a billionaire.
Yep.
So,
but it was a good observation. And then somebody said something to him, and I just wrote down, what, you gonna let me work or you gonna break my balls? Oh, it was to Phil Coulson.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's when Phil Coulson goes, do you know what this is? And he picks up Captain America's shield.
But it's like, it's like not even the whole thing.
No, it's not.
Because you were like, what is that? And I was like, well, it's got a star, like half of a star, so probably the Captain America shield.
Right, well, and Tony's like, oh my god, that's exactly what I need. And then they use it as a freaking level.
So good.
To make his, Yes, it makes me laugh so hard. And Phil tells him, hey, I've been reassigned to New Mexico. Which now, after seeing the secret scene...
The Land of Enchantment.
That's where they found Thor's hammer, a.k.a. the Southwestern region.
And I'm so excited. I actually love New Mexico. I went there every year as a child.
Oh, I thought you didn't like it when you went there.
I did. I got to explore the ranch. It was dope.
Interesting how things look from an adult perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I think I didn't like that I was away from my friends. But
100%.
I know that I had fun there. Like, we did really dope stuff.
Agreed, 1,000%. Adult perspective. So, Tony Stark literally created a new element, and he synthesized it by making a device in his lab, which is called a particle accelerator. And he goes, well, that was easy. And then he encased it in his reactor and put it inside of him, which is also mirroring the scene that Ivan is kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And then we go back to Ivan, and he basically tells Justin that the drones will not be ready for presentation, or for a demonstration, but for a presentation. And he's like, what's the difference? And he's like, I can make them salute. And it's because he's not working on what Justin wants him to do. He's working on what he wants to do.
Yep.
And then, this is the horrible part. Every time I see an animal, they throw that bird in the bag and it screams.
Did I miss this I don't remember seeing this.
Oh my God, it was horrible. He's like,
oh, when he's coming in and he's like, you're not doing what I'm asking you to? Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And the bird's okay. The bird
but
is
it's
fine.
Still like,
I don't like it. I don't like it. I like animals. And so basically, and I said, I hate that. Fuck you, evil Marvel villains. Ivan calls Tony Stark and says that, hey, thanks for the good advice. Because he said that you need to make the arc reactor smaller or something like that. And then he has his bird back, so he's happy about that. And,
he kills those guys, and I said he's so scary because they're like hanging behind him when he's talking to Tony.
Yeah, and I have written down it tastes like coconut and metal.
Tony says that when he put the thingy in.
Oh, okay, cool. So Maddie knows that Happy was an elf.
Yes, I think he said he was an elf, and I was like, no, not quite. He was in Elf. And I did a little research.
Okay.
And he was the doctor in Elf. When the dad takes Buddy to the pediatrician, and he's like, this is a grown man. And he's like trying to give him a cotton swab. It's a good scene.
Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
He's probably been in a lot of things.
Did he direct Elf?
Ooh, maybe. Look it up. So then we know that, so then we go to Justin Hammer's intro dance at the Stark Expo.
He directed Elf.
Oh my God, Jon Favreau directed Elf. You've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
That's amazing. Elf is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I feel like I actually did know that, now that I'm thinking about it. That's amazing. Okay, love that. I'm surprised Will Ferrell hasn't been in a Marvel movie.
Is he even famous?
I mean, he's clearly not.
We love Will Ferrell. He's very famous. Okay,
so he makes drones for all the branches of the military, and then there's Ivan with his toothpick again, doing something. I don't know. I just love his toothpick. And then here comes the War Machine. So he's the one who's going to basically be the demonstration. But then Iron Man enters and is like, hey, I just figured out that Justin Hammer is working with Ivan, and we need to get everybody out of here because everybody's in danger. And then they figure out that the War Machine system has been taken over. Everything's been taken over by Ivan because he's a genius with his toothpick. And Maddie said, this is why robots just ain't it.
No, that was my note. I was like, robots are a no-go. Because think about it. Even if you're the robot owner, somebody else smarter, because there's always going to be somebody smarter, maybe like in a different way or whatever. Like there's a circular smartness.
Are computers not robots?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. Robots are self-contained machines
like
with
AI,
artificial intelligence running them. that I think they have, like, I don't know. Anyway, robots are scary because somebody could always take them over from you, and turn them against whatever you're trying to do. So they scare the shit out of me.
Heard.
Yep.
Robots are not it. And then Justin Hammer realizes that he is just so terribly out of his league. This is whenever Pepper and Natalie come to him, and he literally calls them bitches.
Oh, I hated that.
Which is the second time. Like, they really make the enemies belittle women.
Yep.
But then ScarJo totally owns his ass because
Mhm.
she's a freaking badass. And then the drones just start bombing the entire expo. And then Romanoff and Happy go to Hammer's Industries to go find Ivan.
Mhm.
And this is where a lot happens. So just a little thing that we should notate and just say is that there is the little boy who's
Yeah.
with the Iron Man head. Well, there's a spoiler attached to that, which we'll get back to.
I did note that was really cute when he said, "Nice work, kid."
Oh, I know, he's adorable. Well, and then Romanoff in the car with Happy is changing, and it shows her bra, which again is just making her uber sexualized. And I didn't like how Happy was like looking at her. That was, again, 2010.
Yep.
Like, it was funny, I guess, at the time, but it's not really, those times have definitely changed.
Yeah.
It's not cool to look at a girl in the backseat changing without her permission. That's just not cool.
Yeah.
So, all the cars, oh my god, remember all those cars being destroyed by the War Machine?
I think
So many cars.
When I saw that, I made a note. Do they ever talk about casualty numbers ever in the Marvel movies?
Yes.
Okay.
Eventually.
Cool.
We'll get to that.
Nice.
They do.
Because that is what I'm
But
concerned
not
about
cars.
a lot. No. But there had to be someone sleeping in one of those, at least 10 of those cars. Because there were like...
Or fucking.
People died in the cars, for sure.
And they literally killed all of them. And okay, so then we see, now it's so many cutscenes. So now we're back to at the Justin Hammer Industries and Happy's first action scene where he's punching that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you noticed, but he's fighting that one guy the whole time.
The whole time.
Well, Black Widow's first action scene happens, and I mean, she's just beating up everybody.
And I have seen that scene before.
Yeah,
Just,
it's so
like,
famous.
It's been replayed all over the place. So that was something that I noted. Because I was like, oh, this is where that scene I've seen is from. Because I didn't know.
And, like, it's really cool because she has no powers.
Mm-hmm. She's just truly badass.
A badass.
Love that.
And Happy bites the guy's ear off or bites him somehow.
Yeah, that was really weird.
And at that point is whenever we see Scarlett Johansson killed like 15 dudes. He's killed one. And then... What?
I was like, why do the guards only have pepper spray?
Yeah. And then as you said that, Scarlett Johansson just pepper sprays some dude.
Because I that was my question. I was like, are they legitimately only carrying pepper spray? Is that pepper spray? And she pepper sprays someone.
Do security guards usually carry guns?
Yeah.
Like regular ones for buildings?
Yeah, Michael was a security guard. Homeboy was strapped. Like, they wear them on the outside.
2010.
Like, they're not even hidden.
Yeah, especially in the Marvel universe, like, why wouldn't they not have guns?
So I laughed at that. Or tasers. Like, literally, there's better non-lethal weapons than fucking pepper spray.
Agreed. And Tony says, drop your socks and grab your Crocs, which I thought was funny. I wrote that down. And then Ivan deploys the rest of the drones and they blow up the Stark Expo, the nucleus. Like, they blow up the whole thing. And then we find out that Vanko is not there. Ivan Vanko is not at Justin Hammer.
Yep.
But the good news is that Scarlett Johansson can reboot Rhodey's suit.
How does she know how to code?
Okay. Maddie said, no way everybody knows how to code.
Yeah.
And I wrote down, yes, they do. Because she's fucking brilliant.
Everybody's brilliant. And how many people can be brilliant?
Thor's not. Thor does not know how to code.
I can't wait.
Thor will be like, what is this magic ring? What is this? That's such a horrible Thor accent. But Thor would literally just throw the freaking computer to the wall. That's what Thor... Thor can't code. Who else can't code?
There's probably more, but I think I'm just like, everyone...
We're going to keep track.
Everyone
can
do
all
everything.
the Avengers that can't code.
Yeah.
But that's what makes them Avengers. You know, you have to be exceptional.
Yeah, true.
So, okay. And Agent Romanoff. I don't know why I have that hat. Agent Romanoff. She's Agent Romanoff. Okay.
She just fixed everything.
What do you mean you're not dying? Oh. That's what it is. She's talking to Tony, and she's like, well, now you're not dying anymore. And Pepper's like, what do you mean you're not dying?
And that's
I was gonna make an omelet and tell you.
That's when he did that scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then this is when finally, after she gives Don Cheadle or Rhodey the control of the suit back, he goes, oh man, you can have your suit back. And Maddie said, I like this guy better than Terrence. And I do think he did a really good job. I just hate a replacement.
Yeah.
Then it's like the final action sequence. We're almost done, guys. So the kill box, enter the drones, absolutely epic action battle scene. And then Iron Man uses his at the very end, he cuts just everybody in half. And it's like, bro, why didn't you do that in the beginning? Well, because those are the mini bosses. Now the big boss comes down, and it's Ivan with his whiplash.
Yeah, his kinky whips.
Mixed with a drone. And Rhodey was going to shoot him with the ex-wife. He goes, don't worry, I'll shoot him. And then it just, dink. Hammer tech? Yeah.
I said, hammer tech, I feel like this is a disappointing dick joke.
That is probably subtle undertones.
And that's why that was the ex-wife.
Not the gazpacho. Uncle Gazpacho. I wonder
just
what that's about.
I think it was like, oh, don't, and he was like, hammer tech.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, that's the dick joke.
So then they basically beat, it's kind of cool. They beat Ivan with the photon blast that they used to destroy themselves. I call it the Harry Potter and Voldemort photon blast.
You did say that.
Because it's like, when their wands meet. And basically, they kill him, but then they find out that as his last final thing, all the drones are set to explode. Yeah. So Iron Man has to fly and save Pepper right in the nick of time. And she quits as CEO, and then they have their first kiss.
And I liked it.
I know, it was so good. It was way less awkward than the first time.
Yeah.
But Pepper goes, or Tony goes, weird. And she goes, that's not weird. And then Rhodey goes, I thought it was weird. Because he's on the same roof.
So
get a roof.
Get your own roof.
Okay, and then...
Oh, wait, I had one comment. When Hammer was getting arrested, this was like, you didn't talk about it, but I noted, I was like, I love seeing scared men.
Oh, he was just threatening her, and we never see him again.
Empty threats. I just love when a man is scared and they're just talking out of their ass, and it's so stupid, and I just love it. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, especially whenever they're handcuffed, and they can't use their one line of defense, which is their freaking...
hands.
Yes. So now it is the end of the movie pretty much. We are all healing, everything's good, and Tony is talking to
Nick
Fury. And he's like, gives him a folder that says the Avengers Initiative. And it's like, he's reading an assessment. Read Romanoff's assessment of you. He says, Iron Man has compulsive behavior, self-destructive tendencies, and textbook narcissism, which Tony Stark agrees. Because how can you be... That's what makes somebody kind of not narcissistic, though, is being self-aware. That's kind of like the contradictory thing.
When he said agreed?
Yes, because if you don't know that you're narcissistic, that's kind of what makes you narcissistic.
But I know a couple of narcissists that know that they're narcissistic.
Okay, don't call me out like that.
Yeah.
But, I agree, but there is a sense of like...
That's a self-aware narcissist who's not trying to be a dick. They're just like, okay, I know my shortcomings and I'm trying to
make it better.
I'm trying to do better.
A narcissist in therapy.
There we go. Exactly.
So, at the end of the report, it says, Iron Man for the Avengers Initiative, yes. Tony Stark, no. But how could that be? How can you pick me and not me? Well, because you're a problem, Tony. And I don't really know exactly how we switch to them getting an award.
Oh, he was like, we'll use you as a consultant. And he was like, you can't afford me, but I'll waive my retainer for one favor.
Oh, yes. And
then
that's
it goes to
whenever
the
Senator Starnes has to present them with the very real life award that it said so many times in my notes, but I just didn't write it down because I was like, it's just a military award. And then he pokes Tony really, really hard and says, isn't it funny how annoying a little prick can be? And this is Maddie's.
I said the senator has the face of a dildo.
Which is so freaking accurate.
Go look at this man's face and tell me this does not remind you of a woman's play toy. And not like he couldn't do it. He would not know where he wouldn't know how to do anything.
No.
But his face.
Which is kind of what a dildo doesn't really, Yeah, he's got the face of a dildo. And then the closing credits are Highway to Hell.
Nice.
And there's no cinematic credits, like with the cool artwork. So we just immediately skip to the secret scene, which we open. I have my note. We open to the Southwest region.
Yeah.
And it says that we're in New Mexico and there's a crater in the middle of the desert.
And I want to say, I need to look at where this was filmed because there's just no way that it was New Mexico.
I have all the filming locations. I don't write them down because I just tend to not care. But we can definitely look that up. And Phil Coulson says, sir, we found it. And then there's a close-up of Thor's hammer. And then it ends the movie with just sounds of thunder.
Which was so good. And it made me so excited because I feel like Thor is what I'm most excited for. Because I love mythology. Specifically, I really like Greek mythology. But I'm super excited to like go, what'd you say?
Nordic.
Yeah, and so it makes me want to read the Magnus Chase series by Rick Riordan.
Is that about Norse?
Yeah, it's about Norse mythology, and I've never read it. It's supposed to be like Annabelle Chase's cousin, like he's the main character of the books, but I've never read them.
Magnus Chase was out way before, I feel like.
Not Percy Jackson, not the original series.
I think it was.
No way.
Can you look it up?
Yeah.
Because I'm dead ass. I've heard about Magnus Chase way before I heard about Percy Jackson. That's crazy. So, anyways, guys, while Maddie's looking that up, I hope you enjoyed this episode of us just chatting, talking. We'll have the YouTube video up. We'll do the editing, all that fun stuff. And please follow our Instagram and our YouTube, which I already talked about. What is it?
No, so the first one, it's a trilogy from what I can see. Maybe it's a little bit longer, I don't know, but I think it's a trilogy. But the first one came out in 2015.
Oh shoot.
And the first Percy Jackson came out in
Magnus Chase?
2005. The second book is called The Hammer of Thor. I feel like I need to read this even before I watch the movie.
Well, we have 2 weeks to watch Thor, and then we've got literally we're gonna be so crammed that day. But I'm so excited.
But yeah, so we're excited. We love you guys, and we will see y'all in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and interact with us as much as you can. And maybe you can get the super fan shout out.
Oh yeah.
And we'll continue to develop as we go along. So until next time, see y'all later.
Bye-bye. Damn, that was a
2
2-hour
hours.
episode.
Yeah, we have a lot of editing though. At least a couple. But yeah, that was a 2-hour recording sesh on my phone. Damn, I'm tired of balls.
I know, right?
I'm
All right.
so excited to watch Thor.
Oops. I am so excited. We love Chris Hemsworth.
Dude, can you believe Chris Hemsworth is a freaking Avenger? He's a main dude.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. The Marvel movies have a lot of credibility because of the actors that they have, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just a bunch of fucking nobodies. Bradley Cooper plays a raccoon. Do you know about the raccoon?
In the Guardians of the Galaxy? Yeah.
Dude, don't get me started on that damn raccoon.
Yeah, he has a lot of funny one-liners from what I understand. He's the comedic relief. No?
All of the Guardians
Oh,
are
really?
comedic relief. Every single one of them are funny.
Let's make sure this saved before I exit out of it.
Yes,
Alrighty.
please. I can't believe you edited a whole episode and it didn't save.
Oh, don't even remind me.
So, my bestie Ella gets here tomorrow.
That's so exciting!
Yeah, what are you doing this weekend?
I don't know. I don't have any plans in my calendar.
We're going to float the river this weekend, but
I won't be able to do that.
no, yeah,
Because
but
I know, because I am helping Michael. Like, I don't have any official plans, but I'm helping Michael.
But I want you to meet
the
Ella
van
at some
ready
point.
for-
She's not leaving till Monday, so maybe Sunday.
Yeah. I'm getting the van ready for Michael to go hunting, which is very exciting.
Why are you excited for Michael to go hunting? To get food?
Yeah, he gets us food, and it'll be like the first time the van's used for hunting, and I'm just really excited. It makes me excited when the van gets like used for the purposes that we bought it for.
Yes, that's totally fair.
So. Oh.
Well, I think
Dude, he fucking called me out on the daddy issues. That was so funny.
Oh my god, about the fast car. Oh, that was funny. So many people will not know what we're talking about, though. So if you want to cut it out, you can.
It's just so funny. I don't think I can.
I know,
But we'll
right?
see what happens.
It is very funny.
I feel like it's weird because, like, I cut out, not a lot of stuff. I cut out a decent chunk of stuff. Like, when I hear, like, longer pauses or, like, maybe, like, a weird stutter that I don't like, I'll try to cut it to where it sounds, like, a little bit better. But it's so weird because when I listen to it, like, I don't even remember, like, what I cut out.
Fair.
Which is good because...
No, exactly, because it's just so smooth.
You don't, yeah.
Ugh, my dead skin.
I think we got everything.
At least the cats didn't yell like last time.
Yes, I was just waiting for you guys. Oh my gosh, my neighbors are Bert and Linda. They're the cutest old people in the entire world, and I'm so excited that we have a sports car. It's very cute. A what? A sports car. You have a sports car?
up 700 now.
Why is the AC?
I haven't touched it. It's on 69.
Why is it at 73 then? Dude, our shit's fucking up again.
I think it's just maybe because we don't have like let the air circulate.
No, I've been letting it circulate.
No. I think so. Like for me, the fan wasn't on.
Okay, yeah, after it was cold, I'm glad.
You can circle what you're doing for. Yeah. Oh yeah, what is that for? You gonna rip that other one off? Hopefully it doesn't like rip the fucking door off. I hope it doesn't rip a hole. Just keep the broken one there. Where did you get that? You went to the store?
No, for my asshole.
What else did you get from the store?
I told you I was Target and I got like
You didn't tell me that.
yes I did.
When?
While we were on the phone I told you I got laundry stuff and car fresheners.
Oh, I was in Target. Okay.
Dude, I kicked the scab on my leg and it started bleeding so bad. You just going to bed? You need to go let him chop her then?
If I thought you were okay, is that
It's just ridiculous, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's your fucking dog.
Yeah. I'm gonna go let your cat go.